Hodgkin's Burkitt's lymphoma on Thanksgiving. It was weird because I was super active with my friends, and they were all boys, so we used to play games in the backyard. We were playing football, and one of my friend's older brothers came to play, and we always played tackle. And he had hit me kind of hard, but not any harder than I would have thought. And the next day in my ribs, I was feeling a little sore, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I just got hit a little too hard. So one day school started, and I was feeling very crappy, so I was like, oh, if Tuesday comes and I'm still feeling the same, we should probably go to the doctor. Tuesday came, and it was just as bad, so we went, and the doctor said, you might have bruised a rib, or we don't think it's cracked, everything seems fine, just take some painkillers and you should be okay. Then Thanksgiving came, everything was great, until later on that night, my shoulder was hurting me real bad. My ribs were fine, but now my shoulder was hurting. My mom was like, I think we should go to the hospital. And then they said, it's just procedure, everything seems fine to us, but we have to give you a scan. So they take me back to give me a scan. They come back a few hours later. He puts the scan up there, and one of my lungs is lit up and the other one's black, and I'm only 12. I have no idea what they're talking about, and he's like, this is very bad. I have never seen this before. They ran every single test you could possibly think of. We were there for many hours, and finally they came in, and I was exhausted. It had been 2 whole days now of no sleep, just numerous tests, and they told me that I was going to have to stay for a few days. This was actually the only time I cried during the whole 6 months of this. I was so exhausted, and all I wanted to do was go home. And then immediately they put me on a bed and they rushed me into the operating room. So I had no idea what was going on. They told me that my lung had actually collapsed and filled with fluid, so they had to drain it immediately. And if the fluid's clear or red, you're fine. That just means you cracked a rib. But if it's dark, you're going to have to stay here. And I didn't know what that meant, and they numbed it, and everything was fine, and they took the fluid out, and it was black. So I knew immediately something was seriously wrong. So I only remember there being for a few hours and then waking up in the ICU. They said I was there for 3 days, and then they ended up, during the night, a bunch of the alarms started going off, and they thought that the tube was done draining, but they actually found out that the cancer had spread throughout my entire body. We have to make a decision right now what we're going to do, or else she won't be here in the morning. And they found a girl that was 100% identical to what I had gone through. And they said, this is the type of chemo that we have to do, and this is our only option. They said, but because the chemo was so aggressive, that could also kill me by the morning. We got better and better, and they kept coming up to me and telling me how it's a miracle that I'm still alive, and I was like, and then after those 14 days, I was able to go up to a normal room, and then a few days later, I was home for 5 hours and then got a fever. But that was actually the turning point of it all, because that's when I started being able to go to Roswell. So I was at a cancer hospital where it was specific to me. I was in a kids cancer wing, so I was with kids my own age, everybody that was going through something similar, and that was a big turning point for us, definitely. It was 6 months, and the treatments were 3 to 4 days every 3 weeks. And then after the 3 days, if everything was okay, they'd let you go home, but I was never home for the 3 weeks. It was usually, I was never really scared. I just was ready to be a kid again, and I was very active in sports, so just wanted to get back out there and play with all my friends again. But as soon as the 6 months came, they said everything was fine, so I had to go for checkups once a week, and that turned into once every 2 weeks, every 6 months, and then once a year. So I'll go once a year for the rest of my life to get a checkup at Roswell, as long as I'm living in the area. I've been told when you go through something so traumatic that you block out certain parts. So I don't actually remember what I was thinking about going through that. I just remember being extremely tired all the time. I never ate. I lost 32 pounds in a month, less than a month. I was just living each day and going through what was going to go through. They would tell me every day things that I could experience, and I just went through it. The entire time, that's all I thought about was I just want to get better so I can go out there and play. It was every day when I was home during the 3 weeks that I had, it was at any point in time I felt fine, I would go outside. And to me, I felt like I could go out there and run around with everybody, and I would try, and I'd last about 10 minutes and need to sit down and take a breather, and it wasn't the same, but all I thought about was wanting to get out there and play the sports again. But altogether, it took me about 4 or 5 months to get back to where I could be competitive again. I wanted to play baseball for as long as I could, and my dad said, you're going to have to switch to softball, so that's when I decided I wanted to play softball. So I actually didn't start playing softball until my freshman year of high school. But as soon as I got in there, I made a lot of friends and started getting my strength back, and started working out when I got a little bit older to try and continue to get as strong as I could because I was starting over again. When I experience things that are more difficult, I think back to that and I think, God gave me a second chance, so I want to live it as best as I can and take every day as a blessing because I could not be here right now. The team, even from the fall, the team momentum was there. It was a completely different chemistry. We're a very close team as it is, and we always have been for the 3 years that I've been here so far. We've always been a very close team. But as far as on the field, you can feel it now. You feel the positive energy in the dugout. You feel everybody wants to be there. Everybody gives their 100% on the field in practices. It's a completely different atmosphere than it was the other 2 years. I wanted to assume more of a leadership role. I have 2 people next to me in the outfield that haven't had a whole lot of experience out there, especially in right field. Des has never played, and she's doing absolutely amazing. She's doing great. But I just wanted to be out there and be a leader for them. As a center field, I see everything. I can see the whole field in front of me, things that the infielders don't see as much, so I just want to take my knowledge of the game and help them as much as I possibly can by seeing what I see from there.